Hey, good afternoon, folks, and welcome to this week's Family Ministry Moments. So, I have been thinking through a lot about what's been going on lately, and I'm sure many of us have been kind of taking toll of our lives and stuff that's happening with just the hurricanes we've gone through, and just the fact that we're going through a very tumultuous kind of social, political season as a people. And I'm sure each of us also has stuff going on in our lives that just impacts us on a daily basis. I'm sure some of us are trying to figure out how to make our bills each month. I laugh because I feel that way the same every time I think about them. I'm sure so many of us are struggling on how to maintain our relationships and how to just do the things that we got to do each day. And it's not easy, right? It's a lot to do, and there's a lot of good things to do, but it can be a big struggle. And my encouragement to you this week, even though I'm talking about stuff that seems pretty heavy, is that we all need to take time to rest. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was in Kansas City and got to go to a leadership conference and got to meet one of my good old dear friends that helped lead me at the Youth Ministry Institute, one of my mentors. And I was just remembering through with a bunch of friends who were living through a lot of our moments of that time, and some of the key things we all kind of took away and learned from that time. And one of the things that I remember learning that was hard for me to learn was rest. I am not good at that. I am just a doer by nature. I sometimes just am constantly, when I'm not doing physical things, when I'm not doing something, I'm planning, I'm reading, I'm always actively engaged in something. And I learned that I have to stop and rest and kind of just be, and I'm not good at that. It's been over 10 years since I've been done with the Youth Ministry Institute and that time of kind of learning and gleaning from that, but I'm still learning how to be someone who rests well. What's interesting is if you look at the scriptures, there are countless places within the Bible where people have been told to stop and rest. And if you look at Jesus' life and the short time that he actually did ministry, he rested quite a bit. He would step away from the disciples to intentionally pray, and he would find secluded places to do so. Even when in the midst of a storm, when the disciples and Jesus were in the middle of a storm, Jesus was sleeping. And it's a strange thing to think about that Jesus would rest when there's so much to do. He had such an important task at hand. He had 12 disciples to train in a very short period of time. He had so much knowledge to give to folks in such a short time that he was here, and he was preparing for such a big task, and yet he still took time to rest, because even Jesus' example to us gives us this example of how important it is to take time for ourselves so that we can also do the good work ourselves. Right? There's this amazing idea that if your cup is empty, how can you possibly pour into the cup of others? And my encouragement to you, if you're sitting through these difficult times, trying to think through, how am I going to make my next rent payment? Or how am I going to help the folks affected by the hurricane? If you're watching this and you were affected by, how am I going to get through this next phase of life? And I was totally not prepared for these moments. And you know what? We never are. There's no way to be ready for all the stuff life's going to throw at us. But we may not always be physically, financially, or emotionally ready for it, but we can do our best to prepare ourselves for it, right? We can train ourselves for it. We can't always make sure that we succeed, but we can do our hardest to try to prepare ourselves so we do. And one of the big ways to do that is to make sure that we have our mental and emotional and spiritual health in check. And rest is a big part of that. So I encourage y'all to find a time to get some rest, and to make sure you intentionally do that. As parents, I encourage you to make sure that your students see you doing that. Let them see you, making sure you take some time to go and read a recreational book. Don't always have to be learning. It's okay to just enjoy something. Maybe go take a nap, or maybe just go sit in a hammock somewhere. or go fishing. I don't know, whatever it is, or however you check out and however you rest. I encourage you to go do that and make sure your students recognize that that's important time for you. That is intentional, calendared time for you. I hate to say that you have to calendar it, but most of us will not do it unless we put it on a calendar somewhere. I encourage you to make that happen. And I understand that saying something like this sounds like I'm coming from a great place of privilege, that I have the time to do that. But I'm gonna take that back and say, no, it doesn't come from a place of privilege. In fact, I think that all of us, regardless of our station, should be taking time to do as Jesus does. And rest and be prepared for the next thing life is going to bring you. Whether it's another hurricane, whether it's another joy of victory, we can't be present unless we're prepared. And one of the big ways we prepare is rest. So that's my encouragement to you this week. I hope I can see you all this Sunday for youth group at 4 o'clock or church at 9 or 11:15. Just want to remind you all that we have a bunch of stuff going on here on campus. We have our trunk or treat that's going to be happening in about 2 weeks. At actually 4 o'clock on Sunday, the 27th, which is exciting. So bring your kids, invite your friends to come get some free candy. I know the Amigos are going to be having their fall dance. That's going to be happening as well. And so we just want to encourage y'all to get connected within the community. And I hope to see y'all on Sunday.